Hello.
That's right. We're live right here.
Indeed.
Two of us are in Florida. How about that?
I know. We're melting. We're melting.
Yeah.
Hey.
Welcome,
Send
everybody.
ice.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Lynn Serrano.
I'm Scott Jones, and we have all of our friends here, Lynn.
Yes, John
like
Horton.
we do every week.
We got Scott Schilling, Mr. Two Hips. We got Rex Sikes, and we got the one and only Barry, the love doctor, Barry Selby. Thank you for being here, you guys.
The love doctor.
Yeah,
I like that.
the love doctor. I gotta share this picture. Talk about love today. Look at that.
Love.
Look at that. Yeah.
Lynn's it looks like I'm sucking her cheek into my mouth.
Oh, it's a screenshot.
It doesn't.
I was kissing her. I wasn't devouring her.
No. As the wonderful producer of this show, I'm going to start going and scouting these guys. Oh, and I have a picture of Scott Two Hips that was really cool this week, but I'm going to share that next week. I'm going to start just popping cool pictures and stuff around here because it's just fun to do. But you guys just make me so happy, and I'm so glad that we're talking about happiness today.
Mm-hmm.
Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about happiness. I'm not super happy today because my air conditioner died, and so I am at the current moment ordering a new fan motor, and I got to clean the coils, and I'm going to have to do all of that tomorrow after a full day of training and between shows. And anyway, so I'm bitching and moaning because I want to live in Florida, but now I got to live on the sun, the surface of the sun. I got to deal with it.
But Scott, I don't see no fans on you. I don't see your face or your hair blowing all over the place.
I've got a fan going, but every time it goes around, I can hear it say, I give up, I give up, I give up. It's just, you can't beat the heat. You just can't.
Well,
so,
the bright side is you could be where Two Hips is. Oh, no, he's in Texas. It's very hot there, too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we got 99 plus. So.
Oh, you see? There you go, Scott.
We lost air last night.
So now we're going to have a pity party competition.
That's right. Because the topic is happiness. So let's all talk about air going out.
Exactly. Scott just wants to say he's hot. Yeah, you got it, Tim.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah, Tim's way up north in Dallas, so he's cooler up there.
Well, for Lisa Joe, stay safe. I mean, the important thing is, and you too, Scott, get whatever kind of coolness. Go to a movie theater if you have to or something, but go to a hotel lobby
or a library.
Right. Library.
It's 80
have free food like a hotel library during,
It's only 82 degrees in the house, and that feels super hot, but it's really not that hot. If you think about it, I go outside on an 82 or an 84 degree day, and that's fine. So I just make some adjustments. As soon as this show's over, Scott's not wearing pants. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not wearing pants. I am going commando through the house.
The show's over.
Okay, Lynn, snip that. I'm not wearing pants. That's all over the internet.
It might be present day Scott's not wearing pants. So
that's exactly it. I think he's just trying to cover.
Just remember the saying, pain is maybe mandatory, but suffering is optional.
Good point.
Tim says I never wear pants on Lynn's show. Oh my God. Well, listen, let's talk about happiness. I brought up happiness because the truth is I'm a happy guy. And I just think sometimes we forget how empowering being happy is. And I'm not speaking for anybody else because you know what? My story is different from all you guys' stories and everybody else's story. What I could tell you is I spent a lot of my life thinking happiness was a byproduct and not important. And now that I'm in my later years, I realize how important happiness really is. And that all the other things I've been chasing, those are the byproducts. Being happy in life, I mean, the making the money and the doing this and the doing that, those are great things that I want to succeed and I want to do all those things. But the happiness is the reason. And when my kids see me and I'm happy, I could see it in their eyes. And when I have my friends and I'm happy, I see it in their. It's the most important thing. And I think I spent a lot of my life thinking happiness is a byproduct of everything else. And it's really, I had it backwards for me. That might not work for anybody else, but for me in my life, it's got to be the happiness that comes first. And if I'm just going to say, if Barry is the doctor of love, I am the deacon of divorce. All right, I'm just saying right now.
Oh.
That's not telling
Is
you
that
on
about
the way
happiness?
badly, is it?
Well, Scott, you know I'm all about happiness. I mean, I love to bring smiles and happy. I mean, I think your junior year at high school, I made sure you were happy and gave you a hug every day and got to see you, you know, and it makes you happy to do the little simple things that most people don't do. And that's just, you know, smile and say hi and give a hug and just appreciate. I mean, those, you know, and just acknowledge somebody being there. So
Absolutely.
So
I think it's an interesting topic from the standpoint that, you know, I was on a call earlier today and talking to a guy and we just random conversation as it got into, but he's got a great initiative to help nonprofits and to you know, help people leave a legacy. So not only do the people donating to the nonprofits do well, but the nonprofits do well. And you kind of start talking about, well, where did it come from? What's the driver behind that? And, you know, he shared with me basically his whole middle was full of cancer and, you know, had bladder taken out and colon taken out and this taken out and this taken out and a bladder reconstructed and whatever. And they did the first tests afterwards and there was 0 remaining cancer. And they go, that doesn't happen. And to this day, he's like that. And so, you know, he was just talking about how, you know, God plays a role in it all, you know, that we all have whatever our spiritual beliefs are or whatever. But again, you don't come through life without a nick or, you know, a bump or a bruise or a nick or a this or a that. That's not what it is. It's what you do after that fact. It's kind of like it's not what anybody says to you that it counts. It's what you say to you after they stop talking. Well, it's kind of the same thing. You go through an event and it's not what the event was. It's, you know, how do you come through it and how do you feel about it? It's actually I came across this picture of the British Virgin Islands. Now that's my favorite place on the planet. It's my happy place. And all of a sudden I'm looking at this picture one day and I go, why the hell aren't you using that as your virtual background? You get to look at it every day. You get to, and everybody else does too. Why would you, if that's your happy place, why would you not be using that? So instead of having, you know, the critique from Mr. Scott Jones about being on the, you know, the nightly news with the cityscape in the back, you know, and all the different stuff. No, and I'm kidding about that. But it just is, you know, being able to look at your happy place and feel the feelings of while you're there. And Rex with his dogs and us with Wilson and our dog and some of the stuff. We went to last Thursday night, we went to an outdoor concert every Thursday night for 13 weeks. These guys have they pull up in a band and say, bring your chairs, bring your stuff, whatever, and just hang out. And it was just fun. Everybody just hanging out. Nobody got crazy about the music and nobody got crazy about being there. It was just like this outdoor, everybody just chilling and having a nice time, you know. It doesn't take that much to be happy, you know. So there it is. I was happy there.
That's your happy place right there.
That's right. That's Ocho Rios in Jamaica.
Wait. That looked like Olivia Newton-John you were with.
Well, it was. Don't tell my wife. That'll really piss her off. But
beautiful.
Yeah. My lovely wife and I. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I saw the pictures of your outdoor concert. That was beautiful. What a venue. What a great way to spend time. And music. There's nothing more enlightening than music and fresh air, right?
No, I mean, it was just, it was cool. You know, you bring a cooler, Peggy made a charcuterie board, you know, and they got all these restaurants around the area. So some people stopped and had pizza before or had meals before, but we actually just brought some snacks and hung out. And, you know, you're just telling silly stories about nothing, hanging at the lake, listening to some music. It was like, what a great night. It's very, very fun.
Love it.
Happiness for my dad tonight is watching a Spanish novela story, and he just turned it up, so I'll be muting a lot.
See.
Can you guys hear it?
No.
Hopefully not.
No.
Paquito.
You know, I don't speak Spanish, but some of those Spanish novellas are absolutely amazing to watch. You can watch that shit on mute, and it's amazing.
You don't need sound.
You don't need sound, right? It's like if Sofia Vergara put out a 2-hour movie, I wouldn't even listen to it. It's visual, and then I'd be happy.
Barry, can you analyze that for him?
Please do.
Doesn't need analysis. It's pretty clear.
Oh yeah, there's no analyzing. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Somebody else chime in on happiness.
You know, I think real quick, you know, I think it's individual. And being a mortgage guy, you know, the best story I had, I'll make it quick. I had a client that never thought he'd get a mortgage. Never. Wife was pregnant. They have a 2-year-old. He ended up getting the mortgage. His child had never felt grass before. They lived in the city. They moved to the suburbs. So the email he sent me, again, in 32 years, is, John, the feeling of my child's foot in grass and rolling around, you've made my life. That was his email to me. So to me, I was done, man. That you know, you're in it no matter what your sales, no matter what your love doctor, whatever you're doing. I think people need to take that happiness if they're in sales on what they reflect on their client. And they send you that kind of message. I mean, that's something that child will remember, the parents will remember, I'll remember, absolutely 100%. But, you know, just to see the effect you have on giving other people happiness, I think is beyond belief the best thing you can do. Your own happiness is them being happy, but you forget what you do for people. And it's not a transaction, it's a relationship.
Right.
Byproduct. I love that.
So
Hey,
I'm gonna
Barry.
Hi, Lynn. So I'm going to push back on that one, John, because as my work is in the area of relationships, a lot of people base their happiness on the other person. And in relationship, that's usually a trap. Because if that person doesn't do the right thing all the time in the right moment, it's easy to get pissed off at them. So happiness has to be an inside job in my languaging. Yes, it's nice to be happy because someone else is happy and you've helped that happen. That's wonderful. However, if we base our life on that, we're always going from somebody else to somebody else to somebody else to feel happy. And that's actually going to be harder to do. Those stories are wonderful. I'm not going to knock it down. I've got clients who send me emails, same sort of thing. It's like, I'm so happy for them. However, I know better now, after many practices of this, that happiness, I mean, one of my favorite quotes somebody gave me on, so I use a lot of times in my work, is be happy for no reason. Because happiness is not dependent upon anything else. It's a choice we get to make inside every day, every moment. It's not easy necessarily. And I don't mean Pollyanna happy, like gloss over the bad stuff. It's about, can you choose happiness as a virtue, a place to be, going through your day, moment to moment. You may forget and go, oh, no, I want to be happy now. And it may be after you've seen a letter from the IRS or just had your partner, cheat on you, whatever it could be. Not to say to avoid it or to numb it out, because I also have a very big passion about being authentic. And if you're in upset, deal with it. But happiness ultimately is our choice, independent of circumstance.
Wouldn't you say, though, that when you seek and you are happy within, you're drawn to see all the happiness around, which makes you even happier? You know what I mean? So
I would say, actually, if you're really being happy, authentically happy, connected inside, you become a magnet for happiness. So yes,
right.
Draw people.
So then you see it and you magnify. It's you're just as
the lens
happy.
You look through. The lens you look through. Yes. At the same time, though, it really is about, again, centered in your own happiness. And yes, you can become a magnet for people, things around you that just reflect back to you what you're feeling. Because frankly, if you're pissed off and upset, you're going to draw the same thing. You're going to draw that to you as well. So why not do happiness instead? It's a much more attractive experience.
Right. And it's just like when you buy a brand new vehicle, new brand you think is a new brand, you see it everywhere. So it's the same difference, I would say.
Oh yeah, I know Rex knows about that stuff.
Speaking of Rex,
I can't tell you how overwhelmingly depressing this conversation has been.
Then don't.
Oh gosh, you guys! No, this is great. It really, I mean, because people think of happiness as a commodity or something that they can put their hands on, or that they get at the end of something like winning the race, or they get a prize. They get, the ultimate goal is if I buy this, if I do this, if I say this, if I, then I'll be happy. Which is always putting it off in the future instead of being it now. And I, as a child, I guess I was really happy, and then I went into the traditional grade school kind of stuff, and became pretty unhappy, pretty unsmiley, pretty insecure kid, even though I was doing a lot of outgoing things, acting and dancing and acrobatics and the whole thing. And when I had the crisis that I talk about in my book, and all that kind of stuff, I realized I wanted happiness to be my default position. I wanted it to be my fallback position. I didn't want to become happy. I wanted to be where, when everything was going wrong, I ended up falling back into happiness, and as opposed to chasing happiness. And it's an interesting thing because it's there's a Bible quote that talks about the peace that passes all understanding, and I think for people, everybody defines happiness differently. Well, if I had if I could get a hamburger, I'd be happy. If I had $1 million, I'd be happy. If I were living my dream life, I'd be happy. It's all these different kinds of whatever. But what if happiness, the quality of happiness, was like serenity? It was like peace. Yeah. It was like just a security. It was a sense of well-being. It wasn't always, the exhilarated kind of thing that people think about when they're happy, or I'm laughing and I'm smiling, but that it was this sense of overwhelming, everything is good no matter what's going on. It's just good. And from this place, we can create more good, or attract more good, or share more good, or involve more people in the good. So I don't want to be happy. I want to fall back into happiness. Now, one of the things that you said, and this is just what we linguists do, you say, I want to, for no reason. That's a phonological ambiguity. It could mean KNOW reason. So if you have lots of reasons for being happy, that's okay too. If you have lots of reasons for not being happy, well, maybe you want to change that. If you're happy because there is no reason to be happy, you're just happy as the fallback, or just happy as a natural state of being, well, that's fantastic too. So I love it. Be happy for no reason. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was waiting for him to say, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I thought that's where you were going with all of this.
If you're a monkey and you know it.
I was actually sharing last night, Rex, a little bit about the summit coming up. No worry, no suffering, no struggling. And, just really since you and I talked with that and we set all that up, it's interesting how it actually modified my perspective. And I was sharing that last night, that you sit and you pontificate on that, you share your thoughts as you go, and then you go, well, that's pretty good shit. I should probably listen to that. And then you start to do it, right? And you realize, I mean, it's amazing how what you were saying there about peace. Peace is really happiness. It's that lack of worry, that lack of struggle, the lack of suffering, the lack of whatever. Doesn't mean everything. It goes back to, I mean, it's the message that keeps on showing up in my world of sharing that God's plan and timing is perfect and all things work together for my good. Not all things are good. There's a lot of stuff that's less than good. I mean, we've got air conditioning, 5 of us, So
I don't.
So
I use air conditioning.
Hey,
in 25 years.
I barely,
You're in Wisconsin. It's under the tundra, so
I barely have air conditioning. My dad, he kicks in when it hits 80 in here.
yeah. No, I get that. No, but I'm just saying that the whole thing about coming is really recognizing that not everything is always going to be good or easy or this or that. But that's just as big a judgment as whether it is good or so why even judge it? Just live it and let it fly. And what you do is you're much more peaceful, you're much more relaxed, you sleep better, you do all the different stuff. It's really amazing how it all just kind of works together.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Everybody's made some really, really important points, and the one that we haven't really stated yet, at least in my recollection of the past few moments, is that happiness is a choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people, you go, what do you want to eat? Well, I want this or I want that. Where do you want to go today? Oh, I want to go here. I want to go there. We're making choices all the time, but people are unaware that they can choose to be happy. So if something bad happens and someone says, well, be happy about it, you say, well, how can I be happy if this happens? Well, the question could be, well, how could you not be happy? I mean, in other words, your happiness doesn't have to be tied to an event or a person or a situation or, something going down. Happiness can be completely devoid of any, of any reason or of any cause, so that people say, well, I can't, so-and-so, something happened or so-and-so passed away, I can't be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if you could be happy? In other words, maybe you can be, but you just don't know you can because you've always chosen not to be when these kinds of things have happened. So you've made a habit of being unhappy when things happen instead of choosing to be happy. And again, it doesn't mean being exhilarated necessarily. It doesn't mean going, oh my gosh, I'm glad somebody ripped my arm off. Ha ha ha, this is wonderful. It's you know what I mean? I mean, when I look at the people who have little or who have physical disabilities, they're born with arms and legs, without any arms and legs, and they're happy. And the one guy said, and I think we talked about this before, he said, how can you be happy with no arms and legs? He said, well, how can you not be happy with arms and legs?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Nick Vujicic has a born with no arms, no legs, but has a pair of shoes in his closet just in case.
And some gloves on the counter.
Yeah, it's one of those, and I was sharing in our group last night that all of a sudden, wow, we're in the second half of the year, and so how'd the first half turn out? How are you getting ready for the second half? How are you feeling toward it? What modifications are you making? And we just had some great discussion about it. And at the end, I said, you know what? There's some really great stuff going on, and it's almost not any of the things that I thought were going to be really great right now. The stuff that I thought was going to be really great right now is still coming. It just hasn't shown up yet. Mm-hmm. But there's new stuff that's shown up in its place. Right. And that's the thing, I think, when you're sitting and you've got, positive expectancy, right? You're looking, again, we get what we focus on. And if you're sitting there and you've got some positive expectancy going on, and like you say, it's a choice. Why would you want to be miserable? I mean, you certainly have the choice to be miserable, but why would you want that?
I love that the people are talking about choice, because not many people look at it that way. There's a lot of people that are like, I'm miserable. It's just the way it is. I'm an angry person. That's just who I am. It's not, if they don't understand it, that's who you choose to be. You choose that every day. Yeah. When you get up, you're going to choose what shirt you're going to wear. You also get to choose what mood you're going to carry with you, or at least try. Scott, you made a great point. Not everything's great. Not everything's wonderful. Not everything is happy. Not everything is sunshine and puppy dogs. There was a moment, I got to tell you, there was a moment, my grandfather, when he passed away, this is goes back maybe 8 years ago, and my grandfather was the patriarch of the family. He fought in World War II. He was actually one of Patton's troops, and he was, it was an amazing story, his story of his life and his life in New York. And he wrote it down for the whole family. He was just that guy. And here's this guy. He fought in World War II. He comes back. He's a man's man, but he hugs everybody and he loves everybody. And it was somebody that I wanted to be. It was a better human being than I've ever met. And when he died, my first instinct was I'm supposed to cry and I'm supposed to be sad. But what ended up happening was this entire family gathered around this grave. We all started to talk about the great moments. And all of a sudden, and I think other people in the cemetery thought we were crazy. We're standing around this grave laughing our asses off. We're laughing and we're celebrating. And my grandfather, at the end of his life, he developed what's called essential tremors, and he'd shake. He couldn't stop shaking. And what we all said was we still love to hug him. It was like going to get a massage for free whenever he hugged you, and he'd just shake you and hold you. And there was something so wonderful about that. And we laughed, and we cried and laughed at the same time. But there was joy and happiness. And what happened was we chose to celebrate that. Instead of falling into the standard, we're all supposed to stand here and cry because are we sad we lost him? Of course we are. But we moved into the happiness, and it's an experience I've never been more moved. I saw less happy faces at 2 of my weddings. All right.
And you were on both of them.
Yeah, I know.
On the mirror.
And you were there.
Now, Scott, to add to what you're saying about your grandfather, but his happiness carried over in such a way that it spread to everybody. And it just shows you that if we each make that choice, what a difference it can make, because it gets contagious, right? It gets one of those things where people go, God, I'd rather be in that situation. Why would I not rather be there than, where I've thought of, or some of that kind of stuff. So that's what, when you were saying that not ever meeting him, not ever knowing him, but it just the joy that he shared, that he gave off, caused that much joy to be created. That's pretty awesome.
And he wrote a book. That son of a bitch wrote a book too, and I didn't write one.
But I'll say something about that, Scott. That's one of the things I'm really just an observation. It seems very strange somehow that when somebody passes away and we go to their funeral or to their memorial or whatever you want to call that, and we spend time being upset and sad about that moment that they passed versus all the years they lived that were uplifting, ideally. Like you were saying about your grandfather, why isn't every funeral that celebratory?
Right.
In a way, so celebrate, because the spiritual center I go to, when someone passes away, we do a celebration of life, not a moaning over death. And it's like we should shift that, because frankly, yes, funerals are sad because the person passed, because you've missed out on all the good stuff they did. So why not celebrate all that instead?
Love that.
It's strange. But I'll speak to a couple of things I said earlier. I said earlier about the thing about in relationship, we tend to put our hopes, dreams, wishes, and happiness on the other person. It's kind of the way we're trained to do it, because we're built to be codependent in this culture, which unfortunately is an incorrect approach. The challenge is when we do that, we put everything we want emotionally on the other person, which means they become the controller of how we feel. This is the danger zone, so to speak. That's why I keep talking about people living a whole life where they're basically interdependent in their relationships, so that we're really whole beings, each person, and we add to each other. Because when we're in the place where we can't live without them, or they make me so happy, that means they have control. And if they don't like us anymore, they take the puppet strings and pull them hard. We get yanked all over the place. I'm sure nobody can experience that one. So the recognition about happiness being an inside job, that we get to choose happiness independent of what's going on, is really the key to freedom. So just an idea.
Yeah, beautifully.
Love that.
Love it.
There's. I bring up the Bible not because for any reason other than it's one of many wonderful books, but a lot of people live by the Bible. Some practice it, some live by it, some use it and don't do anything about living it. But at any rate, if you take the doctrine out of it, and that's my only point, is there's over 4,000 promises for abundance, joy, prosperity, feeling wonderful, peace. I mean, it's just an amazing book of promise, an amazing book of life and of celebration and all sorts of things. A lot of people don't focus on that. They focus on the other side of it, but if you investigate further, there's really beauty there. And what happens? Same thing with now forget the Bible for a second, but same thing in everyday life. There's beauty and prosperity and abundance and life and peace all around us, and most people focus on the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that you said, we're raised to be codependent. Very true. I mean, in societies, we're raised differently than what we would probably if we grew up in the wild, just in a band or a tribe of people. But the point being is that most people don't realize, they're unaware, it's their blind spots that run the show, because they don't know what's running the show. And what's running the show is the fact that if you don't actively choose, I want this, or I am happy. I'd rather say I am happy than I want to be happy, but I am happy. I'm already happy. Good things always come to me. If you don't actively choose that, you are actively, or at least passively, choosing the opposite side. You're accepting something that you don't want because you don't choose what you could have.
There you go.
And they don't even know that. They don't think they don't think they deserve it. They can't have it. They're not entitled to it. It's not theirs. It's not a choice. It's not this. It's not that. When it is.
Excellent. I want to ask everybody: do you think we're inundated so that we believe that happiness is an outside thing? I mean, isn't that kind of what every sales job is, to tell us?
Without a doubt.
Happiness is not you sitting and being happy. Happiness is you driving a Lexus. Happiness is not you doing this. Yeah. Happiness is you wearing these clothes.
And
we buy right into it. We buy into it. Go ahead.
Well, and worse, there are lots of self-development, self-help thought leader gurus who go, unless you have the car, the Lexus, unless you have the Rolex, unless you're on the jet, unless you're in this program, unless you have this money, unless you look this way, unless you have the trophy, you're not good and you're not happy and you're not successful. So they use the very thing that we've been conditioned for to sell their programs,
right,
to get you to want more of the same thing. And they don't free you. They don't liberate you. They just perpetuate the cycle of, I need to do, to be, to have, or
yes.
And the funny thing is where would they be without your money?
And let's carry that thought a little further. Not only are they telling you what you don't have, they're telling you what you have isn't good enough. They're telling you who you are, how much you weigh, whether you have, whether you're not good looking enough, you're not strong enough, you're not this, you're not rich enough. They're not only telling you you need this, they're saying what you have is no good. And we buy into it because it plays on all of our insecurities.
And
instead of just being,
you must do all these things to have all these things, to be someone or be happy or be important or be successful or be, whatever the definition is or whatever the picture is. I mean, look at social media. All the people in front of their jets, all the people in front of their cars, all the people in front of the hotels posing as homes, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Most of those things are posed, though. They're rental cars or they're just green screens.
Right.
Leave my green screen.
No, I own this island behind me. And you don't even try that.
Well, I was enamored with the little yellow vase in Barry's background, only to find out that it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
we're still on the vase.
You're still on the vase from.
I'm still on the vase. And still, my eye goes right to that little yellow spot there.
Okay.
Well, we all show up at the first date, and we tell them my Mercedes is in the shop as we're walking out to our Yugo in the parking lot.
I don't know. I say my 5 first wives, my 5 former wives, don't know that I'm seeing you tonight. But if they found out, I don't know what might happen to you. So can we go somewhere where no one will see us?
But something underneath that, though, the thing come back to is we've been seeing this again, because we are sold to all the time. When you get the car or when you smoke the right cigarettes, you'll be happy. All these things that we've done for generations. Underneath that, though, I keep getting remembrance is about a lot of it's about self-worth, because we don't recognize that we're already worthy. That's the other part you were saying, Rex. I feel like is that we have been told, especially in religion, that you'll only be worthy when you get to heaven, or when you atone for your sins, or whatever it is. Versus you're worthy now, period. The fact you're walking, the fact you're breathing, the fact you're alive, because some people aren't walking, I understand. You're worthy anyway. So happiness is almost like, because you're worthy, which you already are, happiness is already there for you. You got to choose it.
But
when
there's
we
been a
pray-
lot of
Well, unfortunately, most religions, especially Western religions, like to be in control of the audience. I'm being really nice right now because in fact, you're interested. There's an article I posted on my wall, a share from an evangelical teacher about his journey. And if you read that, you might be a little bit discombobulated about the whole structure they're in. Anyway, and I come from a Jewish background, so that's my excuse. The whole thing about worthiness is not something that's provided automatically to most Western religions. They're set up to basically control the masses. So the people in charge will, when you get, the blood of Christ, or when you get the body of Christ, you'll be worthy for that instant, so you digest it and it's gone again. What insanity is this? It's not what I would call real, loving teaching from a spiritual place, which is why reason I do what I do. So I'm firmly believing that when we do discover, remember, and actually recognize that there's nothing to get, that we already are worthy, happiness is the same thing.
I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a lot of hate mail for this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. It sounds like public school to me. No, but
No, you're right. Lynn, I was just going to go there. The education system set up. The education system is set up to tell you you're smart enough or you're not smart enough. That if little Timmy can say 2 + 2 is 4, and little Bobby says I don't know what 2 + 2 is, all of a sudden Bobby's stupid and Timmy's good, and Timmy gets better grades. But what we're looking at is the people who are successful in this world aren't the ones who could do the best math. They're the ones with the highest EQ, the ones who can connect with people. We don't reward the right things to begin with. So it's an uphill struggle to maintain your own happiness and your own identity in a world where they want you to fit in and be what they tell you to be. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if you think about it, though, this has changed progressively. An influencer 30 years ago might have gotten you to buy a pack of gum. He didn't get you to try to get a Rolls Royce, right? I mean, it's gotten so ridiculous that it's all about do whatever you have to do to get the material rewards, or to do the different things, or to, whether that be plastic surgery. Nobody ever looks good enough. What? Well, where did that all start? You are what you are, right?
Right.
The point is that it's progressively gotten crazy, and unfortunately you can typically say follow the money, and all of a sudden you have a different answer than you typically would have had. So what Rex was saying earlier, it's funny because we've lived in that guru zone where guys are selling vaporware from stage. It hasn't even been created, but they're taking your money, and the only reason that they're going to produce it is if they get enough of your money, then they'll go build it. It's not even built. They're making promises that are just vapor. It's so ridiculous. And to sit and have seen that and see people do that, and then aren't they amazing? No, not really. They're just a person like anybody else is. I wish they were, just be a better person, period.
Well, it's interesting that in our society, people say, be an individual. Don't follow the crowd. Don't try and be like the Joneses. Sorry, Scott. No, but you know what I'm saying? They don't compare yourself to your neighbor. Don't try and do what the neighbor has. If they have 2 cars, you don't need 2 cars. But what happens now is they go crush them. Outdo them. Get 10 cars. And they use it's the pot calling the kettle black kind of thing. People don't even notice that they're not transforming anything. They're just substituting one thing for another thing. It's kind of like silly when you think about it. If you want to be free of something, you have to drop it, let it go, and release it, and become something new or different or whatever. You don't just, it's that old saying: if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that's the definition of insanity. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening. People, it's like people who convert from one religion to the other religion because they don't like the one religion, but they don't want to be without a religion. And in my thinking, in some ways, all religions are good if you take them as allegories. They're all very beautiful. If you think about it, if you take them as literal fact, they can be quite disturbing. But people can choose to take them however they want to take them. I'm not trying to tell them how they should interpret, the thing. But what I'm saying is, people trade one limiting belief for another limiting belief, or they trade one value for a similar value, as opposed to doing something different. So instead of competing with their neighbor now, they're competing with somebody else, but they're still doing the same. They're still running the same competition.
Yeah. Mm. Oh, religion. We can get a whole conversation about that. one thing I want
to make it about religion at all.
No. The thing is, one thing I love is I read this quote somewhere about, Jesus had 2 dads, and he worked out pretty well. I think that one there. No, but the thing, I want to come back to this point again about finding our own way through life, because the truth is, being the love doctor, as I'm nicknamed, not my branding, just what I'm called, I really find that when people find love, that's another way of finding happiness too. Because they recognize, first of all, that when they fall in love with themselves first, which is one of my passionate teachings, when you find the relationship with yourself is the most important one, that's where you find happiness. Again, I'm really passionate about people finding inside before they find it outside. And that's the trap, is that also that's the opportunity, is that we've been trained again by our culture, by religion, by commercials, by movies, that when we discover the love out there or the happiness out there, we'll be okay. Like, it's so backwards, it's insane. Yeah. So remember, the love really does inside. So does the happiness. I'm getting adamant about this, I guess.
Well, I want to challenge people to say, what I mean. I used to be bitter and not happy and all that stuff, but if you're not used to being happy and you're used to just being bitter and looking at everything negative, why don't you try happiness and realize you may enjoy that better than the way, and it may, like Dr. Phil says, is how's that working for you? So, you should definitely try something different and realize that that's the way to go.
Yeah. Now, I think this goes right up Barry's alley, probably more than any of us, in a certain sense, that relationships are built on, I need somebody to fulfill me, to make me happy. I need somebody, if I don't have that life partner, that best friend, whatever, then I can't be. And what we turn into is a bunch of emotional vampires, just kind of like, I have you, and I'm just going to get all of my happiness and all of my joy out of you until you're out, and then you're going to be like miserable, and then we got to end it because I just drained you. But yeah, we see that a lot, and not realizing it's like an island. A relationship is an island. If you don't bring it, you're not going to find it there. If you don't bring happiness, you're not going to find it in the relationship. What's that?
So that was deep.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking, why did you paint Mickey?
Why did I paint Mickey? Because I wanted to do something joyful, and I was just having fun. And an hour after I finished him, he sold.
Awesome.
It was the fastest painting I've ever painted that sold, and he won't be there much longer. But
that's the point, is you put the joy, you painted it, because it was bringing you joy, or you wanted to bring joy, and by doing that, it then sold immediately, in turn, because the value that you put into it, and that value being joy and being happiness and childlike wonder, or whatever it's almost like, why that topic, right? Why that particular character? Why, there's so many different things that you could have woke up and said, hey, I'm going to paint XYZ today, but you didn't. It was Mickey Mouse.
Right.
So, I think that translates really well for just the whole idea of some of these choices and doing different things. It's funny. I'll never forget the day you said, what the hell's with the nightline background, in your picture? And I'm like, well, I think it looks kind of neat. Right. And then, but I was looking at this picture of the BVIs, and I went, no, that takes me to a totally different place. Why would I want to have screw downtown Dallas. I don't care. Right. But I mean, it's the, well, why not get a little lighter? I think the one thing that we have as we spend more years on the planet is we learn one of two things. We either learn to hate everything more, or we learn to lighten up and really enjoy things more. And hopefully it's the second one. Hopefully it's the wow, laugh at yourself, laugh at the situation, laugh at whatever. I have yet to have somebody go, you know what? It's really pissing me off that you got the British Virgin Islands behind you. Nobody had said that to this point. You know,
well,
what
that's
I'm saying?
really pissing me off.
So far.
Except Rex. Right? He actually called me ahead to let me know. I mean,
I just love. I mean, we went from Nightline to Hawaii 5-0. I'm cool with it. I love it.
Hey, I want to say this. You know, if you want to be disparaging about a person, you could call them a vegetable, right? I mean, you've heard that. Yeah. But I've never met a carrot or a cabbage that wants to be anything but a carrot or a cabbage. It seems they're smarter than we are. My dogs, I don't know for sure, but I don't really think my dog is going, if this all works out by the end of the week, I'll be a whole lot happier. They just seem to be really happy, and we have to realize that happy doesn't come from anything. Happiness is the state that we're born into.
Yeah.
It's been covered up with layers of dog crap. And the more we release those layers of dog crap, that doesn't mean you have to dig through all the crap. You hear stuff like, well, the more dirt you remove, the more you're close to get to the treasure. So then it gets you really working hard to try and get rid of everything that could possibly be wrong with you forever. And constantly, always, you're happy is your birthright. I think it's why Jesus said, I am that I am. And, we talk about what follows I am. If you're not feeling happy, start doing the things that to make you happy. Go for a walk, play with a dog, help another person, smile more, laugh more, be happy now. And happiness will be that quality of your life that permeates your life so that in the future you're more happy. But it's not going to come from wanting to be happy. It's going to come from exercising happiness. If you want 22-inch biceps like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you build your bicep. So build your happiness bicep by being happy in the moment. And people go, well, I don't know how, because I've got this thing and this thing. Stop thinking about that thing and that thing. I mean, you have to, this is where it becomes a choice, and you have to act like you're responsible for yourself. If you get up in the morning and you dress yourself and you made that silly choice to wear that stupid outfit out in public, right? I mean, or that beautiful outfit out in public, you can make a beautiful choice for yourself to be happy right now.
Rex, it's funny you said that, because I'm a big believer in mindset and what you guys all talked about with the mindset. And I do a 15-minute quick hit motivational with my team. Let's go. I purposefully wore 2 shoes that didn't match today. I mean, they beyond didn't match today. So part of my thing with my team is get out of your comfort zone. I went in the office this morning. I'm ready to roll. I mean, these shoes, dude, they didn't match. I could have had earrings in and nothing. So I'm doing my thing. We got actually Deb's coming in next Tuesday. 15-minute quick hit. Let's hit some things, like make it fun. And some guy said, John, how do you get out of your comfort zone? I'm like, not that anyone ever looks at my feet, because no one does, because that's weird. But I said, I am taking my entire day today, leaving my house at 6:15 in the morning, driving downtown Chicago, doing my meeting, going out on my sales calls. I'm wearing 2 different shoes. And the guy said, what is wrong with you?
Did they notice?
Nobody noticed. But if they noticed, I'd be like, you know what? I made a mistake. Here's what I do. Some days I take 2 different socks. I wear kind of weird socks. And they're like, what? Seriously, what are you doing? I'm like, you know what? Number 1, it's going to engage conversation. Number 2, I'm out of my comfort. I really don't have a comfort zone, to be honest, if you haven't noticed. But 2 different shoes, 2 different socks, it's going to engage your conversation. And all of a sudden, who are they going to remember? Number 1, he's a weird dude wearing 2 different shoes, but he knows what he's talking about. And now you made a new relationship. So you want to make someone happy? They could have the shit day of their life, but they just met a tall, skinny dude in Chicago wearing 2 different shoes. Who are they going to tell that story to? Everybody they meet. That is another level of happiness. I was thrilled. My wife's like, "Are you seriously? What?" No, I take that back. I take that back. She didn't notice till I came home tonight. And she's like, "Have you seen your shoes?" I'm like, "I saw my shoes at 5:30 this morning, man, but how many impressions did I make today on people that will carry that story on?" And it made someone laugh.
You might even get more conversations when you wear 2 shoes and they'll say, "Hey, what's up?" You know, we're going to call you 2 shoes, but anyways.
Well, I could wear 2 left shoes, but I'd walk in. Hang on, let me check. No, I changed it.
The question is, did you have the 2-sided belt twisted in the back so it was brown on half and black on half?
Right.
Oh, now you're getting fancy.
I'm telling you, man, it's those little things that people remember that could have a shit day and go, "I just met this guy, had different socks and different shoes." He knew what he was talking about, but I didn't remember that. But you know what? I'll follow up with them tomorrow. And it's happiness, man. It made me happy. Made no one else happy, but you know what the funny thing is? I have the same 2 shoes upstairs. So when I put them together, we're ready to go.
Well, you know, that happiness is definitely it's good to see that you can be in your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like going out of your comfort zone just to be happy. I think what made you happy is that you didn't care about what anybody was thinking. So that, you know.
No, but you want to encourage others to get out of their comfort zone. If I go to a meeting with 45 people and have 2 different shoes on, knowing when I left my house, it just, I don't know. Maybe it's me, but
it's great.
Oh, definitely you, John.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, it's time for our roundtable quick last thoughts here, to kick off what we've talked about today and a little bit of everything. I appreciate all you guys bringing your stuff to the table and everything. And I can tell you what, I don't remember everybody who's ever pissed me off, and I don't really remember people who were trying to impress me, but I remember people who made me laugh. I remember people who showed me kindness, and that stays with me. So I like to be one of the memorable people, and if I can spread a little happiness and a little joy, I agree with Rex. We're born with it. It's there. We spend a lot of time burying it, and everybody wants to uncover it. But if you got to wait until it's all uncovered, that's like saying, "I'll be happy when this happens." No, as long as you are aware it's there, you don't have to uncover it all the way to start experiencing it. You can work towards it and get closer to it, but if you know it's there, just reach into it. That's all you got to do. So, who wants to kick off the final round here?
How about John? He's in the middle right there.
All right, John, you're in the middle. Final thoughts, brother.
Fine. Final thoughts is it all comes back to what we had said before. It's the mindset. Wake up in the morning, plan your day, get up, be happy, make people happy, make 2 or 3 people happy, make an impression on people, make them happy because you know what they're going to do? They're going to talk to other people, and it's going to spread, and it's going to spread. So be happy every day. Wake up, have a positive attitude, man, because it's going to flow, brother, whether you like it or not.
Awesome.
Thank you, John.
Awesome. What do you think? Scott?
I think it's interesting. Because of the choice, you can start out. I mean, I answer the phone the same way. If I know who's calling, I'll answer Scott Jones fan club. And every day I'll have somebody go, I love calling you just because you make my day every day. And it makes my day making their day. And how hard is it to do that? It's not. It's a pattern interrupt. It's a state interrupt. And it consistently starts a conversation. And I do it all the time. I mean, it's not something I do once in a while. And I had a guy call me the other day, and he just goes, "I just somehow always feel better after we've talked." And I said, "Cool. You don't have to work hard at it. Be kind to people. Be nice to people. Have some fun. Goof off a little bit. The world is serious enough. There's plenty of shit going on out there. If you haven't recognized it, either focus on that or focus on the fun stuff. I'd rather focus on the fun stuff because there's way too much shit out there."
That's right.
You know, it's like let's have some fun, you know, and really enjoy it. That's why this show is so fun, quite frankly, because you never know where it's going to turn or where it goes, you know, because everybody's just sharing from a place of, you know, who cares? What are you going to do? Get mad at me because I said something? Oh, okay, I'm over it. How about you? You know, I mean, it's just fun to do. It's a fun show. It lets you free flow, and whatever comes out comes out.
We're honored. And
there's a mound of manure that
So you knew it was coming.
You know what? I'd be happy if I never heard about that goddamn horse again. I'll tell you that right now.
You know, when I get a statistician,
Pony. I mean, it's a pony.
We're going to have to repeat that.
Yeah.
I love it. Mr. Barry.
Barry.
I love it.
Love, doctor.
Well, the couple of things came to mind. One is, you know, the old saying about the grass is always greener on the other side. No, the grass is always greener where you water it. So why not start where you're standing instead? Happiness, I'm going to say again, happiness is an inside job. It really is. What everyone's saying, what John was saying, what Scott's saying, we're all saying, is that happiness is an inside job. And just to play it the other way around, and I've used this quote before in other conversations we've had about Eleanor Roosevelt supposedly quoted as saying, "What you think of me is none of my business," which means you can be happy, doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So be happy for no reason, meaning that you be happy without qualification, without justifying it. Just be happy. And yes, it doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time or put Pollyanna smile on. It means just be happy. It's easy. Really.
Absolutely.
I love you, Barry. Thank you. And the one and only Mr. Rex.
Mr. Rex Sikes. Yay.
Well, I'm going to just share a brief story. If I've shared it before, I apologize. I tell it in all my workshops, so I don't always remember where I've shared it, you know, if we've done it on the show. The other thing is it has to do with both of the people had been drinking alcohol, but it has nothing to do with alcohol, just so you know. I'm a young guy. I'm sitting on a bus stop in Los Angeles after bar. You know, I'm just sitting on hanging out, and this guy comes down the street. He's got a bag and a bottle in the bag, and he's doing his sips, and he's kind of staggering down the sidewalk, and he hits an uneven spot in the sidewalk, and he kind of trips and stumbles forward. And then he has the presence of mind, as inebriated as he is, to look back, see what it was that tripped him up, and then to look around. Did like anybody see what was going on? And apparently no one had. Didn't notice me on the bus stop, and so he continued to stumble on. So a little while later, that another guy stumbles down. He's got a bag too, and he's drinking as he's walking, and he stops and he turns where he's facing out into the street. He goes like this, and he goes completely foot upward, back ass into a plant. And all that you can see are the feet sticking out of this plant, and you hear, and he just laughed, and he laughed for around like 15 or 20 minutes as he's trying to extract himself from this plant. And he laughs and he laughs, and he finally gets out of the plant. And he walks off down the street laughing at the top of his lungs. And I went, wow, I'd rather be that guy, because at least he's having fun. And again, it has nothing to do with the alcohol. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. Every moment of every day, stoned or sober, it's a choice. And if you, the wise people choose happiness. So live, love, and laugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
Wow. Wow. Lynn, what do you think about all this?
That novella out there is loud. Happiness. I laugh at myself all the time. And that's one of the places that, you know, if you can think of the things you've done in your life and you can laugh at yourself, then, you know, that's half the battle is just having a front row of what you do every day and just have fun, because I love to look at the bright side of things. And there's always a bright side. Even after tragedies, some people become successful or have all their money, have their life flipped over because they had a tragedy. So the happiness always comes through in the midst of grief and things that we go through. So just look at it and realize that you have to weather these storms to see the rainbow. You don't see the rainbow till after the storm. So if you just remember, or when you're flying, the turbulence. I mean, it's just, again, there's no smooth sailing, but there is. It's a mindset, but we make drama out of everything else. So just remember, it's all drama, because things are going to happen. I mean, people are going to die. People are going to get sick. I mean, COVID has taught us that, right? So I'm just saying, like, be present, love, and release and let go, and just find a happy place within yourself. And next thing you know, you enjoyed your peaceful time so much more. Trust me.
Fantastic. You guys are all fantastic. We love the fact that you guys get together here. And Scott Schilling, I agree with you 1,000%. This is a freeing kind of thing for us on Tuesday night. We all get to express ourselves and share. And I just appreciate all of you. I appreciate your good humor, your kindness, and certainly lean into your humor, lean into your kindness, lean into your happiness, because I've never seen somebody show more strength than when they show kindness. I've never seen a punch thrown or a curse word thrown or a bad feeling thrown where I've seen any strength in that. I've only seen strength in kindness, and kindness comes from happiness. Find your happiness, find your kindness. God bless you guys. I love you guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a
Love
great
you
week.
guys. Have a great night, and just stay right there. Thanks, everybody. Be happy.
Keeping me safe inside.